Good morning, Coffee Talk Tuesday. So this morning I'm going to talk about the hashtag #MeToo status. Yes, I posted it on my wall. Yes, I have been a victim of sexual abuse, and there are two really big instances in my life that I recall, and there are a lot of small ones as well. I'm not going to tell you my story. I'm not going to talk about it because I've moved past that. I've talked about it. I will talk about it. If you want to know, you can, message me and I can tell you my story. But I don't want to focus on what happened. I want to focus on how I recovered from it. The survivor story, as everybody's saying, I am a survivor. Yes, absolutely. I'm still healing from a lot of the things that have come up in my life. It's really a never-ending process. You get triggered by little things and you don't understand why. But it's all part of the process. It comes up. Notice it, recognize it, feel it, and it's okay. So the one thing that I've noticed though about this is that we're talking about coming together in this nation. Why can't we, just come together and be as one? You know what's cool about all of this Me Too stuff is that I'm seeing so many people coming together. We are uniting in our pain, in our stories. All of our stories are different. It doesn't matter what level of assaults. I mean, it does matter, but in the story of it, the women have still been assaulted, and the men. Some when they're young, some when they're adults, and, everything in between. Some from a sideways glance, as somebody put it, and all the way up to violent rape where they were left to die. I've heard stories, all of them, and the level of sexual assault is not acceptable. It's not okay. But we are coming together as people, as women, as men, and we're uniting in this pain. That's a really beautiful thing. We're uniting in this way to be able to reach out to our kids, to talk to them about it. Because I know when I was growing up, there were things that happened in my life and to people that I knew. You didn't talk about it though. Sometimes you talked about the act and what happened and the story of it, but you didn't talk about the healing process and what was going to take place. And I was never told that 10 years down the road after something like this happens, you're going to be put in a situation where it's going to trigger something. And these are the things that I think we need to talk about. I don't want my kids to live in fear. I don't want them to not want to go places because they're afraid of being raped. Like, I'm not a person who walks down a street afraid of being raped. However, I am a person who walks down the street noticing my surroundings and being very aware, and also being in tune with myself. And if my gut says something's wrong, then it is. And I'm able to do something about it. Something else that was interesting, that when I was talking to one of my friends, we have this, fight or flight syndrome or, thing inside of us. And the new thing that they talk about is fight, flight, or freeze. And it's amazing to me when we talk about sexual assault, how many of us, even if we know what to do and how to protect ourselves, we freeze. And we just let it happen. Does that make it any less? No. Does that make it okay for the perpetrator or the person that's doing it, the abuser? Does that make it okay for him? Absolutely not. Just because we're not punching him in the face or kicking him in the nuts or anything like that, doesn't mean that what he's doing to us isn't going to be emotionally, physically, and mentally and spiritually, all of that. It's going to be damaging. It's going to take time to heal from it. I love that we're all coming together and talking about it now, sharing our stories. Like I said, if you want to hear my story, more of my story, go ahead and message me, and I'll be happy to share it with you. I think a lot of us who have been abused, we start to think about all the things that we've done wrong as well. I know that there have been times that I've been emotionally abusive, that I've even been able to use my own sexuality to get what I wanted. All of these things are the things that we need to talk about. All of these things are the things that we need to notice that we're doing and recognize so we can heal from it. It is all part of the healing process. I feel bad for the things that I've done if I've hurt people. Of course, I don't want to hurt anybody. That's never my intention. And I don't know if it's a lot of the other people's intentions as well, especially when, you know, it's a drunken night and you don't realize what you're doing sometimes. However, we need to bring this to the surface. We need to be able to talk more about it and have this open dialogue and not be so judgmental and say, oh, well, you know, what you had wasn't significant. Don't put other people down when they're telling you their story, even if it's a little thing. Even if it's, you know, somebody hugged me too tight for too long. If it's emotion, if it's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, then it's not okay. And if that red flag is going off in your head, that's something that can traumatize you for a while. I do remember there was a time when I was a teenager, somebody that I loved very much touched me in a way that wasn't appropriate. But I blew it off like, oh, they didn't mean to. It was an accident. It could have been an accident. But to this day, I remember that it happened. And if it was no big deal, if it wasn't something that triggered that thought in my head and that made me remember it, then it was something that I know I should have talked about way back then. This happened. This is how it made me feel. If it was an accident, that's fine, but let's talk about it. I don't know. I think that there's so many things that happen in this world and in our lives that we fear talking about because we don't want to hurt other people, or we don't want to admit our own failures. I love seeing the stories of the men that are coming out or the women that are coming out that said, yeah, I was a person who did it. It was me. And I'm sorry. That means so much to everybody. And I'm not going to put you down for it. I'm not going to judge you for that. We all have the things that we do in our life that are considered not okay. But it's what we do and how we recover from it and how we heal from it. And forgiveness for ourselves, for others. This is where it starts, guys. We're all coming together. We got to recognize that. We got to love it. Sending you all love for all of you victims out there and survivors. Some of you are still on the journey. It is a never-ending journey, but some of you are just at the beginnings of it. And I want to send you my love and know that you're going to be okay. Know that it's okay to admit it. Know that you can be a victim sometimes, but it's different when you have the mentality of, I'm going to heal. So remember that, everybody, and have a wonderful week. I love you all. And if you do watch these, please like them, comment on it. I would love to hear your opinions on all of this, and share it if there's somebody else that needs to hear this message. So bye-bye for now. We'll see you next week. Mwah.